In The Lord of the Rings, the character, the Witch King, is often mistaken to be invincible to the strikes of men. This misconception likely comes from his line, "Hinder me? Thou fool, no living man may hinder me." Or, more simply as he says in the movies, "Fool, no man can kill me." But he doesn't have any special immunity from human dealt damage. Instead, he was referring to a prophecy. A millennia prior, as the Witch King was fleeing from battle for Eredor, Glorfindel, the elf, dissuaded the human prince of Gondor from pursuit, prophesying, "He will not return to this land. Far off yet is his doom, and not by the hand of man will he fall." So, if the Witch King was trying to be more accurate during the siege of Gondor, instead of saying, "No man can kill me," he should have said, "No man will kill me." Of course, he was in the heat of battle, and trying to intimidate his opponent, so we can't really blame him for misspeaking, but it would have cleared up a lot of confusion over his abilities. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus makes what, to his audience, would have sounded like an apocalyptic prophecy. He says, "For the Son of Man is come with his angels in the glory of his Father, and then he will repay everyone for what has been done. Truly I tell you, there are some of you standing here who will not taste death before they see the Son of Man come in his kingdom." In each of the Synoptic Gospels, this verse is immediately followed by the Transfiguration. For those out of the loop, the Transfiguration was an event during which Jesus became radiant, and his true divinity was revealed. The author of Matthew reports, 6 days later, Jesus took with him Peter, James, and his brother John, and led them up a high mountain by themselves. And he was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his clothes became bright as light. Suddenly there appeared to them Moses and Elijah, talking with him. Then Peter said to Jesus, "Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will set up 3 tents, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." When he was still speaking, suddenly a bright cloud overshadowed them, and a voice from the cloud said, "This is my son, the beloved. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him." When the disciples heard this, they fell to the ground and were overcome by fear. But Jesus came and touched them, saying, "Get up and do not be afraid." And when they raised their eyes, they saw no one except Jesus himself alone. After receiving God's endorsement, Jesus commanded his followers to keep the Transfiguration on the down low, saying, "Tell no one about the vision until after the Son of Man has been raised from the dead." The Transfiguration's occurrence directly after Jesus' prophecy in all 3 Synoptic Gospels has led some apologists to argue that this prophecy may be referencing the Transfiguration. In short, the authors of Matthew and Luke both decided to preserve Mark's placement of the 2 events, indicating that the authors may have seen some significance in the relative ordering of these 2 events. I'm not a scholar, and therefore I will not be commenting on how much we should read into the upheld placement of the stories. But I do want to spend some time thinking about how to interpret ambiguous prophecies. I'm going to argue that this interpretation makes Jesus' prophecy, frankly, unimpressive. When Tolkien tricks the reader with the ambiguity of the word man, it's a clever little acknowledgement that the word frequently used in the novels to refer to the human race has another meaning. Tolkien writes the Witch King's death to fulfill both interpretations of the prophecy. Both Éowyn and Merry take a stab at the Witch King, Éowyn being not a man, since she is a woman, and Merry being not a man, since he's a hobbit, or a halfling. This is the prophecy's clever double meaning. Similar examples can be found in many different stories. In Star Wars, Anakin Skywalker fulfills a prophecy by bringing balance to the Force when he turns good in the end, defeating Darth Sidious by throwing him to his demise. But he also brings balance to the Force earlier, more literally in Revenge of the Sith, by betraying the Jedi, reducing their numbers to 2, Yoda and Obi-Wan, equaling the number of Sith, him and Sidious. Okay, yeah, I know there were other surviving Jedi, but we only see 2 directly in the movie, so it appears pretty balanced. Yoda even suggests this interpretation when he says, "A prophecy that misread could have been." There is also Harry Potter, where J.K. Rowling intentionally wrote 2 characters to fit Trelawney's prophecy, Harry more closely, but also Neville Longbottom. Now, all of these fictional prophecies, in my opinion, make the stories better and more nuanced, which I enjoy. But counterintuitively, the double meaning behind each of the prophecies technically makes them weaker. Hear me out. Thinking back to the Witch King's prophecy, the interpretation taken at the time the prophecy was made rules out all humans from causing the Witch King's demise. So any elf or dwarf remained a potential slayer of the Witch King. Later we realize this prophecy doesn't apply to women either, thus half of all humans could be the one to defeat the Witch King. Additionally, hobbits, who might have been categorized as humans as they share the same unknown fate upon death as men, apparently could join elves and dwarves as a separate race of people from man. Finally, though not confirmed in the books, I might point out that for all we know, man could have excluded boys as well. So anyone not of age could have been the one to defeat the Witch King. So, all in all, the person who defeats the Witch King, according to the prophecy, will either be an elf, a dwarf, a wizard, a hobbit, a woman, or a boy. So basically, anyone. What started as kind of an impressive prophecy turned out to just be statistically likely. Same thing happened with Anakin. Either he will help the Jedi or hurt them. And likewise, Harry Potter's prophecy also gets more likely as the candidates for Voldemort's rival expand. So how should we treat prophecy? If you are an author of fiction, please continue writing cool double meanings into your prophecies. It's subversive and just for fun. However, if you're interpreting real-life prophecies, I recommend giving extra weight to how the prophecy was or would have been interpreted at the time it was made. In the real world, a misleading prophecy isn't clever, it's ambiguous and unimpressive. Thanks for watching. Till next time.